All right. Welcome back to the Java versus Rust series. So we today will talk about the most famous exception that every developer sees, which is null pointer exception, and we will see how Java handles the null pointer exception and the way Rust handles the null pointer exception. And with this demo, you'll see the strength of Rust on how it handles the null pointer exception. All right, so let me start by sharing the screen, and we'll go over the Java one first. Okay. All right. So the screen you are seeing here is the IntelliJ IDE that I'm using, and the code here is the Java code, right? So on this main method, I am intentionally saying that name would be null, and then I'll say that, hey, I want to get the length of this string called name. Now, as you can see here, it's not complaining about that we might run into any null pointer exception, right? And and obviously there's no compile time error that I'm seeing here. Now, if I were to run this one, um, we will see that it ran into null pointer exception, right? Okay. Now, let me try to actually kind of compile this code um, with some Maven build tool that I'm using locally, and and it will succeed building this. But when we were to run this jar, it will obviously fail in let's say in production and things like that, right? All right, so this is Java for you on how null pointer exception is taken care. Now let's move to Rust. Now for Rust, I'm using the Rust Rover IDE, and similar concept that I'm using here. Java uses a public static void uh, main method. Here I'm using a main function. Same concept, and I'm also on this one setting the value of name as null. In Rust, we don't have like null per se, but this kind of says that, hey, this will be null, meaning there's nothing is there null. Now as you can see, it is complaining here, right? Saying, hey, this is private. It's saying private because it's sort of the type error, because for this name it's looking for something to get the length, right? So if it's cannot find the uh, if the method length already decides that there's nothing to do a comparison, you see this error. But our goal is and that not everyone would be using IDs, so we'll have to see if it's actually. Let me just run this program. But before it runs, it kind of compiles, right? So as you can see, this fails right there. Um, Now this will obviously prevent developers from running in, like, putting a code that had a bug of null pointer exception. And also, if you have any other build tools, it will fail right there. So I'm gonna use what is this Rust, right? So yeah, let's use cargo build, and there you go. Right away it fails, saying that it won't say it's gonna be null pointer exception, but it will say private method. Because um, for any non-existing one, there won't be to anything to check, right? So now let's change it to some valid value, right? So let's change this to um, okay. All right. So yeah, obviously it won't complain. It will run as expected, and the length is 10. And we could even do this as like non. Let's put this as non, right? So it will fail. Yeah. Yeah. All right, there you have it, folks. It was a very short video, but I wanted to show you the differences between Java and Rust in context of null pointer exception. And obviously you see that the Rust is pretty strong on the exception handling side of things. All right, thank you for being here all the way to the end of this video. Hope you liked it. If you have any comment, feel free to let me know. All right, thank you.